Let us pray. Father God, I thank you for all the things that have that have been done over the past 2 days to bring us to eliminations round 1. Father, I thank you that you've tightened up the track. I thank you that you sent the weather out. Father, now I ask you to bless us with a good day of competition. We want straight passes, Father. We want safety, not only for the drivers, but for every person on the real estate, Father. I thank you for GALOT Motorsports Park and the PDRA and the platform that they provide for drag racers. Thank you for their efforts and thank you for their crew. Now, Father, I ask you to bless us with a good day of competition. Bless the conditions for the track and the conditions for the weather. Let us get it in. Bless it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, PDRA fans, it's time to go. 8th mile drag racing. White Star Dynamics, Pro Nitrous in the water box, and Brian Burnley are two drivers going to kick things off.
WS Construction Pro Boost, we need you to the staging lanes for round number 1, please. WS Construction Pro Boost, we need you. As Derek was saying, Brian Schrader, left-hand side of the racetrack, the 2017 C7 Corvette out of the Robert Hayes Motorsports camp. Brian comes in. Your number 9 qualifier, stellar 372.8 pass for that machine. And Ed Burnley, the Iron Man, here on the right-hand side. Out of Pasadena, Maryland. 69 Camaro with Pat Musey horsepower for Southwind Refrigeration. Ed was your number 8 qualifier to 372.5.
So we got some really good opening round of matches in each and every one of our professional categories. And you look at this one, Schrader and Burnley. What I like about this is only 3 thousandths of a second separated these two drivers from their best runs in qualifying. So you're talking about an even matchup. On paper, it sure is. And Robert Hayes over there for Brian Schrader. They bring that white Corvette to the starting line, left side. Burnley's crew looks over, gives him a thumbs up. And he's going to bring that Iron Man Camaro into the pre-stage beams right lane. Burnley rolls the tree, and there goes Brian Schrader. 370, 200. Best run of the weekend here in the opening round of eliminations right there for Brian Schrader and his team.
So our next pair fire to life and roll through the water box. Billy Albert on the left-hand side of the racetrack out of Whitfield, Virginia. The El Chapo 69 Camaro owned by Stan Nance. The structural mechanical Albert powered hot rod is your number 7 qualifier to 372.3. And Tommy Mooney here on the right-hand side out of Shelby, North Carolina, the TM Race Cars Fulton-powered Camaro. Tommy, your number 10 qualifier, 374 with a 3.
So Billy Alberts, Camaro. Over here on the left-hand side, Mooney, a guy that has seen some success here in recent weeks with that beautiful 1968 bow tie here in the Napa Auto Parts lane. Who's going to go to the next round? We're about to find out. Mooney's in. Albert's ready. Lights are down. The advance goes to Tommy Mooney, but he crashes the tires. There is Billy. 373, 201 miles an hour. And he will go into round 2 here at GALOT Motorsports Park today.
Chris Reaney, Jackie Sloan will be the next to do battle here at GALOT Motorsports Park. Reaney on the left-hand side of the racetrack out of Hickory, North Carolina. The Silver Bullet 1969 Camaro for ATI Performance Products, Chris's Automotive, and L&R Auto Sales. Charlie Buck provides the horsepower for that machine. He was your number 6 qualifier at 370 with a 4. And he made every one of his qualifying attempts A to B. Very consistent machine underneath Chris Reaney. And Jackie Sloan, the Chevrolet, here on the right-hand side. 69 Camaro for Sloan Boys Racing, Cox Trucking, Mullins Auto Parts, Hoosier Tires. He has a Pat Musey mill underneath the hood scoop of his machine. He's your number 11 qualifier at 375 with a 9.
So the Sloan boys out of Michigan are not the quickest car in the category, but they make consistent, clean runs. And Chris Reaney knows that. He can't give up too much on the starting line. And the ATI Performance Products Camaro cannot chatter the tires. Any of that happens, Jackie Sloan most likely will cruise on by for the win. They're in. Here they go. Oh, good side-by-side drag race to the finish line stripe, and by 12 thousandths of a second, Chris Reaney is your winner. 371.7 to the 372.0. The race, well, it was one back of the starting line. Chris had 9 thousandths of a second to work with and gets that Chevy to the other end first.
Travis Harvey next up on the left-hand side, the Carolina Kid in his 2017 Corvette for Red Top Motorsports. Sonny's horsepower. All right. We're not sure what's going on the hood scoop of Harvey's machine. He's got Sonny's and Barry Allen on the scoop. So Mike Achenbach here on the right-hand side. There's no question he's Fulton powered with Schweitzer Dynamics and Canvas Plus on the deep purple Camaro.
Well, you see, this morning I spoke with one of the members of Travis Harvey's crew at the hotel, and he said, man, qualifying was rough yesterday for us, without a doubt. And what took place was when they ended up breaking a lifter, and it nicked the cam, so they changed motors, fired that motor up 5 times in the pit area, came to the water box, and the car would not fire up. They pulled back to the pit area, and it fired right up again. And he says, we are kind of stumped, to say the least. So let's see if Travis Harvey get the gremlins out of the way and focus on eliminations and taking down Mike Achenbach right here. Mike went down the racetrack with ease. Brandon Schweitzer and that team has got a very good race car on the right-hand side. Good run out of the gate to the finish line stripe, and it's going to be Mike Achenbach. 370, 205 miles an hour. Travis Harvey was stayed right alongside of him at 372, 201. They make their best run in round number 1 of eliminations, but it was not enough to get around that deep purple Chevrolet. Achenbach had 6th out the starting line, and
yeah, that's something you don't see a whole lot. Travis Harvey with the worst reaction time of the two. Normally, Travis, a known lever.
Yeah, Travis has so much on his mind this
Oh,
weekend.
absolutely.
He's tuning another race car. He's driving multiple, 2 race cars as well, and then just everything that is linked with that Corvette. So, I wouldn't say he's had the clearest mind right now.
No. Cam Clark here on the right-hand side of the racetrack out of Reidsville, North Carolina. The D&T Motorsports Mark Engelone 69 Camaro for Cumberland Farm Auto. Pat Musey horsepower. He's your number 13 qualifier at a 377. And Ricky Smith, left side of the racetrack, the Parkway Ford Mustang for SoCal. PD Fleet, Boss Buddy, Stockseth Racing. Another one of those Musey Mills underneath the hood scoop, 974 cubic inches. King Ricky, left side.
Only 40 years at age separate these two drivers. Yeah, Ricky and Cam. Coming to the starting line, and I'm sure that Ricky Smith's going to say, hey, boy, let me show you a thing or two. Ricky Smith, at 69 years old, is one of the fiercest competitors in the category. This is how he makes his living. Puts everything that he possibly has into these pro modified machines. Let's see which Pat Musey powered race car will get to the finish line first. It's Ford versus Chevrolet, Mustang and Camaro. Into the beams they go. Lights are down, and the man goes to Cam Clark, and he changes the tires. Ricky Smith with the win line at 369, 206 miles an hour, right where he qualified at. Cam Clark goes through at 416, 144. So Ricky Smith will go into round number 2 later this afternoon.
Another Ford versus Chevrolet matchup coming through the water box. Dane Wood. Here on the right-hand side, the Billy Howard-powered Purvis Ford Mustang they call Escobar for 660 Race Car Technologies. BHM Racing, Donnie and Julie Wilson. Dane was your number 14 qualifier to 378. And Jay Cox on the left-hand side out of Smithfield, North Carolina. The Pumpkin 1969 Camaro from Butner Construction, Smithfield Collision. Running one of those Pat Musey power plants underneath the hood scoop, 973 cubic inches. Jay spent his morning at the ball field. watching Levi play. Now, yeah, definitely some dingers were hit by young Levi. Now Jay out here trying to go A to B here in the opening round and get around this hard-charging Mustang of Dane Wood here on the right side. The winner of this will face Chris Reaney in round number 2.
Dane Wood knows that he is the underdog of the matchup. The fact that he's been 378 and Jake's been 366, but where Dane really shines is on the starting line. He is 12 green and going to give Jay Cox a run to the top end. 369 for 205 the speed for Jay. He was 52 up front. Dane Wood at 377, 200 miles an hour in the Purvis.com Ford. But Jay Cox, your number 3 qualifier, takes that pumpkin into round number 2.
John Vergatz, left side of the racetrack out of Erie, Pennsylvania. The A1 Automotive 69 Camaro they call the Dark Knight. Vergatz utilizing Charlie Buck horsepower in between the frame rails. And Jim Halsey here on the right-hand side out of Havana Grace, Maryland, the Daddy Shark 68 Camaro. Your defending world champion and current points leader with Fulton horsepower, Schweitzer Dynamics, Purnell Body Shop, Yellow Bullet Nationals, and PRS on board his machine. Looks like some issues out there for the Dark Knight. Halsey might get a competition single here.
See, the crew guy for John Vergatz is still talking to him as they're backing him up. Potentially, this could be a reverser issue. You can hear that they are trying to get that car refired. They have 30 seconds on the clock. The crew frantically goes towards the back of the car. Now they are setting the woolly bars. Are they going to make the call? They are down to 15 seconds. And they're pushing off. So Jim Halsey on a competition single here, your number 2 qualifier. Out there and chatters the tires to a 491 elapsed time, and that's got to make John Vergatz and his crew sick. Fortunately for A1 Automotive, some kind of mechanical failure just hinder their ability to make it to the starting line.
Mincer Motorsports Pro Street presented by AFCO Racing. We need you to the staging lanes for round number 1 of eliminations, please. Mincer Motorsports Pro Street. We need you to the staging lanes for your first round of eliminations. And due to the way the ladder worked out, your number 1 qualifier, Tommy Franklin, left side of the racetrack, will have a bye run here in the opening rounds. The Pat Musey-powered, Bickle-built 69 Camaro they call the Jungle Rat. For Franklin Electric, SmartCom Home Technologies, and Rogers Automotive. He won a 364.4 in qualifying. And he will meet Brian Schrader in round 2. He is chasing Jimmy Halsey in the point standings. Only a round behind him, or half round behind him. 23 points. Wow.
Yep. So right after this, we'll talk about round number 2 matchups in Schweitzer Dynamics Pro Nitrous. 3:69 is low elapsed time right now. We'll see if Tommy can go a little quicker than that. They have the opportunity to do a little testing per se here in round number 1, knowing that nobody is next to them. Brian Schrader has been 370. So we'll see who has lane choice after Tommy crosses the finish line. So a two-time world champ, Tommy Franklin, a guy who just laid claim to his first number 1 qualifying effort of the season, into the beams left side. How about Tommy Franklin, low for the round at 366, 206 miles an hour. Tommy's car is really happy here in GALOT this weekend. So let's look at those round number 2 matchups. Tommy Franklin and Brian Schrader, with Tommy having lane choice. Ricky Smith will take on Mike Achenbach, with Ricky Smith having lane choice. Jim Halsey will face Billy Albert. Of course, Billy will have a lane choice there, going 373. And Jay Cox takes on Chris Reaney, and Jay Cox will have a lane choice in that matchup.
And speaking of matchups, we have a ton of monster matchups here in the opening round of WS Construction Pro Boost, presented by P2 Contracting and Tie Drive. And our first pair, Stan Shelton on the right-hand side, the 67 Mustang for Culp Lumber out of Wallace, North Carolina, the Shelton Insurance Pro Line, Fuel Tech, Shelton Real Estate Machine was your number 7 qualifier to 363. He'll face off against Scott Wilgus. Scott on the left-hand side, the Smokies Garage Camaro out of Seabrickville, Ontario, Canada, for Remax, Clark Construction, and Fraser Asphalt. Scott and the team looking really good here this weekend. And Stan Shelton, a 363, put him number 7 in qualifying. That Mustang's running good as well. Wilgus wraps the pipes on the Smokies Garage Camaro. Noonan horsepower for him.
All right, so Stan Shelton gets guided to the beams. Scott Wilgus is going to give him a run for his money. Culp Lumber on the right, Smokies Garage on the left. Who will go into round number 2? Taking his time. The advantage goes to Wilgus. They're side by side at the top of the racetrack at 7 thousandths of a second. Scott Wilgus makes a little upset happen. Your number 8 qualifier takes down number 7. 364.5 to a 364.3 on a hole shot. Scott Wilgus moves in to the next round of competition of Pro Boost today.
Mentor Motorsports Pro Street, we need you. Pro Street, we need you to the staging lanes at this time, please. Another monster matchup. Left side of the racetrack, William Brown III out of Chesapeake, Virginia, the Blue Magic 69 Camaro for Proline, Fuel Tech, and Brown Racing. He was your number 9 qualifier to 366 with a 1. And Scott Lang here on the right-hand side out of Charlotte, North Carolina, the AML Motorsports 2018 Camaro for Proline Racing, Fuel Tech, and KA13. Scott, our most recent winner on tour, just 2 short weeks ago down at Darlington Dragway. He got his first ever PDRA Pro Boost win.
William Brown did some testing on Thursday, and they made some runs yesterday, qualifying yesterday, that I think it's kind of impressive. 369 and 366 shows they got a consistent race car that will go A to B. Scott Lang knows that. There's no room for error for Team AML. Let's find out if another upset can happen in round number 1. Which Chevrolet Camaro will cross the finish line first? Three-stage bulbs are lit. They work their way in. Oh, man, William Reynolds in trouble. There goes Scott Lang. How about 365 today? 203 miles per hour. William was 13 up front, but the car went out and shattered the tires very early on into the run, and that cost him. So Scott Lang moves into round number 2.
Randy Weatherford up next on the left-hand side of the racetrack. The WS Construction 2021 Camaro out of Danville, Virginia. Travis Harvey on the clock here on the right-hand side. The GALOT Motorsports team.
They get fired up, and here they come into the water box.
Yeah. Travis for Proline Racing, Fuel Tech, VP Race Fuels, LAT Racing Oils, Pro Charger, and M&M Transmission. And you know, Derek, for a car that normally excels at this event, at this racetrack, he only comes in as your number 10 qualifier. Not the performance that we've seen, but it's been consistent.
Yeah,
I mean, it's printing tickets.
What I like about Travis Harvey is consistency. 366.6, 366.6, 366.2. The consistent race car in the category comes to the starting line right here, folks. It's Harvey. He's going to take a deep breath and collected. Randy Weatherford, of course, a veteran over there on the left-hand side. Been doing this a long time. Back to Travis. All the wins and championships in the Big Dog Series. Driving these pro... Just... Sports Park. Going to try to rebound right here and right now. Red light by 1 foul for Weatherford, and Travis coast on through at 4:30, 125 for Randy 207. But Travis Hart, I think he needed, and there's a win light. And off of that, hopefully.
Final call for Mincer Motorsports Pro Street. Final call for Mincer Motorsports Pro Street. We need you now. Our next pair already fired up and getting ready to pull through the water box. It's Chip King here on the right-hand side. The DreamWorks Motorsports 1971 Dodge Charger for Carmack Engineering. And Coyle Racing. He's your number 11 qualifier to 366.4. He'll be up against Preston Tanner, left side, out of Rensselaer, Indiana, the Sweetheart 2015 Corvette. Strange Engineering, Talbot Manufacturing, Manhattan Collision, YO Motorsports, and Jeff Pierce, the crew chief on that hot rod. You can see him on the headset, backing him up from the burnout. Preston has looked impressive here this weekend. He qualified at a 362.4, and that was only good enough for number 4.
If my memory serves me correct, last night Preston had the top spot for just a short while. And when the dust settled, came in at number 4. Qualifying orders you just talked about. Man, it just shows how quick it was. The stellar runs the teams were making. And we were talking about how Travis was so consistent. Chip King is another one of those drivers. And we've seen the DreamWorks Charger go A to B every time they came to the starting line in qualifying. So Preston, I assume that their strategy here is to back the car a little bit, make sure that it is not going to go out and shatter the tires or do anything crazy. Because Chip King and his team, I guarantee you they're going to be about a 368, 369 right here. Good side-by-side drag race, and it's going to be Preston Tanner. How about that? 362. Preston wasn't scared to lay down a run today. 208 miles an hour and 368. Chip King right where he's been at all weekend long. He was 028 leaving the starting line, which gave him the advantage, but Preston Tanner, that's hard to compete with the 362 number. Kid moving on.
Ken Cortuccio here on the right-hand side, your number 2 man in the point standings out of Wallingford, Connecticut, the serial killer, 1969 Camaro for Eastside Auto Transport, Proline, Mincer, M&M, Carmack, Fuel Tech, and Pro Charger. He's your number 12 qualifier. He won a 366.7, 366.9, and a 367. Very consistent hot rod. But he's up against the world record holder in the category at a racetrack that's been very good to her. That's Melanie Salemi. On the left-hand side out of Buffalo, New York, the 2019 Camaro for Ali Installation, Liberty's Gears, Quick Drive, Ross, Pistons, NGK, LAT, Noonan, Race Engineering. She's your number 3 qualifier. She won a 362.2 in qualifying, so huge matchup right here for Cortuccio. He needs a win light to stay alive in the World Championship hunt.
So Melanie Salemi just seen Preston Tanner rocket down the first federal lane, laying down a 362 elapsed time. She knows that the racetrack can hold it. Ken Cortuccio is known to be a lever, and I'm sure the team, they stayed up very late last night looking over every inch of the race card. They are prepared for this battle. It is a hard match. Melanie rolls in. They're set. Red light from Ken Cortuccio, 369, 200 miles an hour. Look at the reaction time on a Ken Cortuccio. Double O. Ken laser air Melanie by 8 thousandths of a second. Will exit in round number 1 and lays down an elapsed time that would have got her into round number 2.
Kurt Stedding and Joel Winsley come up next. Winsley here on the right-hand side. The Liberty's Gears 2017 Camaro out of Dearborn, Michigan. He's your number 13 qualifier at a 368. Kurt Stedding, left side out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The P2 Contracting 2020 Camaro for YO Motorsports, Tie Drive, and P2 Paving. He's your number 2 qualifier at a 362 with a 1.
So we just seen what happened between Joel Winsley comes in. He has the underdog with Kurt Stedding over there, but that mechanical heating and cooling Camaro, they're going to give it all they possibly can to take down Kurt Stedding here in round at number 1. Your number 2 qualifier. Let's see. And there goes Kurt Stedding down exactly where he qualified at 362.1, 209 miles an hour. He was 12 going by the tree. That was a fantastic round number 1 for Kurt Stedding. Joel Winsley, 365. He picks up 300 from his qualifying effort. Great run there, but fortunately he was just way late at the starting line.
Liberty's Gears Extreme Pro Stock presented by AED Competition. Liberty's Gears Extreme Pro Stock presented by AED Competition. We need you to the staging lanes at this time, please. Big drama down here in the water box. Jason Harris, your points leader in the category. His machine not firing up. Josh Chester already done with his burnout. Backs up here on the right-hand side. Huge moment here in the championship chase.
And this is big because you look at the ladder. The winner of this will get a bye run in round number 2, which will put them in semifinals. Jason Harris has got to get that car fired up. And it goes to, at the very last moment, it comes to life. Bob, he's running out there. They've got to do a short. Oh, man. A guy who went 361.6 at over 204 miles an hour, the quickest race car on the property, is frantic right now. Josh Chester has went 74, 72, and 72. The patriarch of the Harris Racing camp out there, Bob Harris, looks done. Says you're okay. Of course, Jack Gaddy, a commercial owner there for the team, watching on. Racing Canoe against Josh Chester. Moving on. 360 miles an hour. He nearly perfect at the starting line, and he pushed it by 2 thou. He turned that red light on, and he goes 370. Low ET for Chester of the weekend, 204 miles an hour. So Jason Harris kept his composure, gets into round number 2. Josh Chester, hats off to that team. I know they didn't want to lose the opening round, but they run low ET for their crew. So what a very dramatic opening round of eliminations in Pro Boost that we just seen. So your matchups in round number 2 of Pro Boost will Jason Harris sets on the bye run. Preston Tanner will take on Travis Harvey with Tanner having lane choice. Kurt Stedding takes on Scott Wildgust. Kurt Stedding will have lane choice for P2 Contracting. Ken Cortuccio and Scott Lang, with Scott Lang having lane choice there. So right now, Bill Devine, Joel Winsley coming here to the starting line. This is going to be the Dearborn, Michigan 2014 Camaro, left-hand side, the Pro Charger for Joel Winsley. Bullseye powered turbochargers. This is good, one of the best classes, especially Pro Street right now. Let's see what Bill Devine can do. Hold on and get around Joel Winsley. Advantage goes to Winsley. Devine's in trouble, and look at the win side. And the number for Joel Winsley Jr., 4:51, 189 miles an hour. Low ET of the weekend for that team. Bill Devine at 4:06. Hey, no slouch except for the starting line. 180 miles an hour for Bill Devine.
Man, Derek, Pro Street quickly becoming one of our favorite categories here in the PDRA. With races like that, how can it not be? Our next matchup, Ty Casper out of Westville, New Jersey, the Sinatra 05 Mustang for Victus Baseball Bats, Vibrant ATI Performance Products, and Mincer Motorsports. He's your number 10 qualifier. Comes into the program out of 4:15.4. They fought that car all weekend up until the final round of qualifying, and they got it figured out. And Steve Woolley, what more can you say about this 2018 C7 Corvette? First event with us here on the PDRA Tour, and he comes in at the number 7 spot in qualifying. 4:035 and a 4:04. Only had one not so good pass at a 4:36. But this Corvette has looked impressive. Ty Casper going to have everything together in the turbocharged Mustang on the left side. Ford versus Chevrolet here in the opening round of Mincer Motorsports Pro Street. Liberty's Gears Extreme Pro Stock, we need you. Liberty's Gears Extreme Pro Stock, we need you.
Well, we just seen an opening round of matchup between Devine and Winsley and how much they picked up from their qualifying run. So, Ty Casper, that stays true to form. Well, he's going to be right there with Steve Woolley. Woolley in his first PDRA race here in Pro Street. So, Casper's off the starting line. He's in trouble. There goes Casper. 5-4-12 low ET for that team here this weekend, 193 miles an hour, and the Victus baseball bat Ford will be back into round number 2. Steve Woolley goes 5-14 at only 94 miles an hour. That C7 Corvette is out of here number 1.
Ron Green and Richard Reagan up next. Reagan here on the right-hand side out of Rutledge, Tennessee, the 91 Mustang. He won a 420 with a 5. Comes in as your number 11 qualifier. And Ron Green out of Chesterfield, Virginia, the DeSoma-powered 2000 Trans Am for Pro Charger and Green Brothers Racing. Ron came out here in the opening round of qualifying and bounced the front end up and down as he made his pass. Came back later on and went a 4 flat with a 2. So Ron Green, on paper, has the advantage, but we don't race him on paper. And Reagan here is a teammate for Scott Kincaid. Kincaid's been on tour twice this season so far and has won both events. So same power combination and tune-up here for the Mustang.
Ron Green we seen in Q3 last night. Yeah, that car got wild. Went up on the wheelie bar a couple times. He was pedaling it. Good drag. Oh, and Green's in trouble. 4-0 miles. Ron Green went down there and strikes the tires. And Richard Ray, Tennessee-based Blue number 11 qualifies, takes
Brown Sugar. Huge matchup right here for the point standings. Tim Essick, left side of the racetrack out of Port Tobacco, Maryland. Essick Motorsports, Pro Charger, UPR, Atomizer, Fuel Tech, and PRS. on board his machine. He's your number 5 qualifier. That's a consistent hot rod over there. He won a 398 that put him in the number 5 spot, but he knows there's zero room for error because Joe Thomas sits on the right-hand side. The American Dream 67 Chevy 2 for Concrete Mafia and Design Electrical. Joseph only went a 432 in qualifying, but he goes A to B about every pass. So Tim Essick needs to keep the tires glued. Drag 965 Pro Nitrous Motorcycles, we need you. Drag 965 Pro Nitrous Motorcycles, we need you. Beautiful paint job on the brown sugar machine. You can see the Bass Boat Flake in the sunlight right there. Good looking hot rod.
Tim Essick, Joe Thomas. And it goes to Thomas, but he pedals. Oh, Essick! He fades away, and there goes Joe Thomas at 435. The upsets just keep coming, folks. 174 miles an hour, and Essick, your rating world champ, is out of here in round number 1. What a ginormous upset. Joe Thomas came from the number 12 spot. He persevered and gets through.
And we talked about it. Joe Thomas goes A to B. He's a 430 car, but he's going to go a 430 just about every trip down. And Tim Essick had zero room for error and had some air.
It looks like Tim Essick got into trouble exactly where Ron Green did, and that Ford Mustang faded away. Wow.
All right, Scott Kincaid, the Camaro left side of the racetrack out of Thornhill, Tennessee, was supposed to face off against Chris Tootin. Tootin not making the call. 20 of these Pro Street machines on the property this weekend. So an impressive field. Kincaid has had this Camaro on tour 2 different times and has parked it in the Fuel Tech winner circle each time he's had it out. Reese Brothers built the machine. And keep your eyes. If anybody can go A to B, it's that hot rod sitting on the left side of the racetrack.
Scott Kincaid rolling in now. 3-stage beam. See what happens. Tire off early on in the run, and it's going to be a 5:18 elapsed time for Scott Kincaid. So he will lose lane choice in round number 2.
So right now, Jesse Lambert's number 1 fan is Tim Essick. Tyler's trying to wreck me up here in the tower. But Jesse Lambert's going to go up against Bill Riddle, who Tim Essick is fighting for a world championship with. Lambert has struggled in qualifying, but he is a past winner here on the PDRA Tour in that Mustang. He's out of Warrington, Virginia, the Cutaway Creations, J&E Performance, Cameron's torque converter machine. He'll be on the left side of the racetrack, and Bill Riddle here on the right-hand side out of Howell, Michigan, the Corrigan Race Fuels 89 Camaro. Him and Tim Essick were separated by 1 point coming into this event. So right now, all eyes are on the starting line. Essick did not make it out of round number 1.
Yeah, such a crucial round right here for Bill Riddle. It's Riddle versus the world right now. Jesse's in, lights are down. Oh, Riddle has to. Oh, there's another upset. Oh my gosh, Jesse Lambert, 408.4, 199 miles an hour. Lambert makes his best run in round number 1 of the weekend. And Bill Riddle, who was second off the starting line, is second to the finish line. And the Corrigan Race Fuels Camaro does not get through round number 1.
Derek, what? I'm about to go to my notes and see who's number 3 in the points.
Oh, yeah.
This is out of control. Hold on, let me check here. This is insane.
So this championship points hunt, it will come down to the World Finals in 2 weeks.
If Lutz can get the job done here today and go to the final round and win this event, he'll walk out of here with the points lead. Wow. He's 3 rounds. 3 rounds for the car that sits on the right-hand side. We call it Big Boost. Out of Canal, Winchester, Ohio, that's Bill Lutz. But I'm going to tell you right now, Jerry Morgano is no slouch over there on the left-hand side out of Apollo Beach, Florida, the Copperhead Mustang.
So Jerry Morgano, Bill Lutz. Lutz has got to race smart right here. They really have a great opportunity to gain a lot of ground here at GALOT with Essick out and Bill Riddle not getting through. We have seen so many wild upsets. Big Boost Bill Lutz is staged and ready. Jerry Morgano's in the left. Lutz pedals is trying to get the top in. Here comes Morgano. And it's not pretty, but it's a win light. 471 to 141 miles an hour in a round that just gives you goosebumps. Oh, my gosh. Bill Lutz, you can see him just fighting for it, trying to get there. Jerry Morgano at 488, 161. And Bill Lutz will move into round number 2 today. This is out of control. I can't even tell you how many times Lutz pedaled that car trying to get it to the other end first.
So next up, we've got Mike Jones out of Hazel Green, Alabama, the Pressurized Solutions 08 Cobalt for B&B Race Cars and VP Racing Fuels. He was supposed to face off against Nick Agostino, the Cannoli Express 69 Camaro. Unfortunately for Nick, he had an altercation in the final round of qualifying and will not be able to make the call here this afternoon. And in a wild first round, Mike Jones is going to click it off at a 499 at 117. The Pro Street Points Championship is wide open. Big Boost Bill Lutz, only 2 rounds out of the lead in Pro Street. Scott Kincaid, if he can win the event, will put himself in the hunt for a world championship. To say the least, you need to clear your calendar for the World Finals at Virginia Motorsports Park in just 2 short weeks. It is going to be an amazing finish to year 10 of the PDRA. VMP, only 2 hours up the road. Not a bad day trip.